to do that either. Christy does that.
Oh boy. Well, hey everybody, we're live, but nobody has a link yet, so we got to figure this out real quick, and then we'll figure it out. Let me go and grab her real quick.
Can you pause the live?
No, I can't.
No, it's just a live feed. But I mean, if no one's got the link, then no one can see it. So.
Not until they come back to watch it.
Yeah.
How's that basement coming, Jay?
Oh, I almost have it finished, but I started my workspace, and then doing that, I had to clean out another room to get everything else ready to put new shelves up. So when I pulled everything out of that room to start putting shelves up, then I destroyed like all the pictures you guys have seen where everything's all painted and done. There's boxes stacked everywhere now, so it's just you walk down there now, it's just a huge mess. But by this weekend, I should be done. So it'll be all good, thank goodness.
Then you can get back to building again?
Yeah, I'm ready to get back to building. I've got some stuff I'm ready to do for YouTube. I've got new tutorials to start building for the website. I think I'm going to do some auction stuff, and I'm just ready to get after it.
Christy is going to get the live link so she can post that for everybody. And for those of you who are not watching live and tuning in, hi.
Welcome.
Hey, it's been a hectic day for me. I just got this thing up and running, and I should have been done with half of the shit. I've been sick all week, so I've gotten nothing done, and now I'm trying to play catch up. So we have Jay Olson, master of the paper mache, and we may or may not be joined by Ami Crissinger.
Oh yeah.
In a little bit, another master of the paper mache. So, unfortunately, Jay, I don't think I'm going to be doing too much paper mache today.
That's fine with me.
She needs to get shaped here, and that's what we're going to be doing today. And once we get some people in here, I had a couple people ask about these knives. We were talking about these knives last week and the week before. These are the DeWalt utility knives, and these things are fantastic for carving foam, just because they have this, like, they're really thin, especially up here at the top. So they make for carving foam, make for getting up close to stuff where you got to have a nice steep angle. So I'm going to share a link at the end of this in the description, because I found these on Amazon, and I think they're cheaper. I can't find them at Lowe's anymore. I don't know what happened, but they're cheaper on Amazon anyway, so I'll share the link for all three sizes. And Jay, have you ever done this with the foam?
I've played with foam a couple different times. I get frustrated with it.
Yeah, I can certainly understand that.
I'm supposed to tell you you're a ding-dong.
What's that?
You're a ding-dong, apparently.
Who?
You.
Who said that?
Christy said to tell you you're a ding-dong.
Why?
Oh. Hey, I'm just repeating what I'm being told to repeat.
Awesome. Okie doke.
Oh, I guess I should ask real quick before you guys get too deep in this. Do you have any rules to this little live show?
You have to keep your pants on.
Please.
I can manage that.
I mean, unless you're not.
Are you asking if we have to be censored here, Jay?
Yeah.
No, there's no censorship here. We were talking about all kinds of stuff last week.
Great.
Yeah, apparently the boobs were a big topic last week.
And right now, I'm just kind of trying to rough out the shape of the legs and figure out where I'm going to have to add more foam and where I'm not. Because I really don't know yet. I'm going to fall off my little stool here.
I think negative sculpting is probably one of my things I hate the worst. Seems like.
You mean like this, taking stuff away?
Yes.
Yeah. The good thing about this is if I take too much away and I realize I took too much away, I can just add more.
Mm-hmm.
Because the great stuff sticks nicely to the great stuff, so.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Unfortunately, the great stuff is very staticky too.
Mm-hmm.
It sticks nicely to itself. So I'm sitting here trying to get this stuff off of here.
It's staticky, and the last bit I messed with is really porous too.
Yeah. This stuff hasn't been too bad. What?
Amy's trying to get in, but she's got to download some apps first, apparently.
I don't want that. That was weird. What was that? I'm sorry, Chris?
Amy's going to be in. She's trying to come in, but she's got to download some apps apparently first.
I think did Carly pop into this? Did I see a comment from her asking what knife I'm using?
I'm trying to hold on. Give me a second. I'll check.
Couldn't tell if that was on Facebook or.
Yes, Carly wants to know, SK, what knife are you using right now? Is that the DeWalt knife?
She knows it's the DeWalt knife. She was with me when I bought these.
Hey, she's trying to get some questions going here.
That's it, right there, Carly. It's not yours. Yours is still on the back porch.
Oh, that's the real reason she's checking.
Yeah, she wanted to make sure it was my knife, not hers.
Uh-huh.
But one of the things I decided on this was I want to have the ankles here in the foam, but because I really don't feel like trying to plan out exactly where the ankles are going to sit, I'm going to carve the rest of the legs, and then I'm going to add the foam back in there and then carve the ankles out.
Do you have that foam running all the way down to the feet you made earlier? I can't
What's that?
see because your leg's in the way. So do you have that foam going all the way down to the feet you made before?
Yep. All the way down.
I don't know if I can say that, Carly. Oh, what the heck. Carly says, LOL, I couldn't see it, dumbass. How's that for censoring there, Jay?
Yeah, there's no censorship on this thing.
Do you do much paper clay, SK?
You know, that was the topic earlier too. I have never, ever, all right, not never, ever, but I've never really worked with paper clay. Only time I've ever made paper clay, and I actually still have it sitting around here in a friggin', it's right here. This is probably a year old. And it's still kind of clayey, but all it is paper and glue. And I use that to fix the eyeballs into place when I made my grave digger.
Right.
I use that to pack in around the eyeballs to get that nice nasty looking stuff in there, and it works.
Well, the only reason I ask is, I mean, the clay recipe that I use, like if I was in this project you were doing and you're talking about adding the ankles on later and you're talking about using great stuff to go back in, I would almost, for those, to sculpt in those ankles, for me, I would just use paper clay over the top of that great stuff and form ankles, and that way it would almost be easier, I think.
Probably right. And that's why I have you in here. So you can point out all these things that I'm not thinking of. I don't know if you happen to catch the first one of these, but this whole entire project is new to me. I have not played with paper clay. I've never used great stuff like this. And I've never carved a human form before.
Yeah, I haven't carved a human form either. I haven't carved one.
This is all learning. And right now she's got some meaty calves.
Jay, while SK's working on that, maybe you can explain for folks who might be new to paper mache or paper clay, maybe explain the difference. Is there a difference in the material? Is there a difference in preference or
between paper clay and then standard paper mache? Yeah, I mean basic paper mache is really what I call like strip mache now. So that's, and man, the recipes on that vary from just water and flour, and glue to various different things. But straight paper mache is just strip newspaper or strip paper, whatever it is, dipped in your paste and applied to an armature and set out to dry. And you can get a good, the only thing I use standard paper mache for anymore is just for my base structure underneath. But your paper clay is a completely different animal. It's more like exactly that. It's more like a clay. You can sculpt with it. You can carve fine details in it. You can mold it. You can shape it. It takes a while for it to dry up, but that's where the clay, you can get crazy detail with it. You can do anything you want, just like the wolf creature deal that Amy just got done doing.
Right.
And she used clay on the outside of it too, and you can do striations in there and make all your hairlines if that's what you want to do. And I like it. Paper clay is probably one of my favorite mediums now. I mean, so I use strip mache first as a base, and then I use clay on top of that. So like what SK is doing, if this was my project that I would be doing, the foam would be nothing but a filler, an understructure. So instead of doing, standard strip mache as the understructure, that foam would be the understructure, and then I would take the clay and come back over the top of that to do all my real molding, like the ankles and putting detail in the calves or any of the muscles that were going on, and taking that clay on up. And you can actually use that as a finish too. You can make it look like skin. Or later on after it dries, if you want a different skin texture, there's other methods you can do on top of that clay to get some different effects. But my clay is what I always use for basically sculpting. You just think of it like an oil-based clay that someone used to sculpt to build a mask or sculpt to build something else with, except you're going to sculpt with your paper clay, and then it's going to be air dried, and that's going to be your finished product.
And I think that's the key. It's air dried. You don't have to put it in an oven or anything like that, correct?
Yeah, correct. Just set it out, set it in front of a fan. Usually it takes, depending on how thick you make it, takes about 24 hours to 48 hours. But there's a lot of myths out there where people say you can only, take clay and build it up a quarter of an inch thick or it'll crack. A lot of the stuff I do and the pumpkins I do now, I'll lay clay over an inch thick and let it dry. Sometimes it cracks a little bit, but if it does, it's not a big deal because once it's dry, you just can come back in with some more clay, fill in that crack, and you're done.
Sometimes that
I'm sorry?
happens. Sometimes that could add character to the piece you're doing.
Mm-hmm. If the crack's in the right spot, yeah. But when it's not, it's no fun. But you can lay it on thick. You can do a lot with it. It just takes time. You gotta have patience.
And you have that recipe, or you posted a recipe, or isn't it on the Unhinged Props website?
Yeah, my clay recipe's on the Unhinged Props website, and it's also on my YouTube channel too, because it's the same recipe on both of them. So if anybody follows on YouTube, they find it there. Or it's on the Unhinged website as well under the free tutorials for anybody to have a look at. And so.
It's getting closer.
It looks like a leg.
That's a plus. She's still a little meaty, though. I don't know. I'm looking at my calf and thinking, well, I'm not that meaty.
It's hard to tell from the camera angle.
Yeah, I know. What I'll do is I'll sit there and put my hands around it.
Mm-hmm.
See how that compares to my calf, which is considerably smaller.
Okay, but that's a woman, so she's going to have, not as straight of a leg as a man.
Right. But she's also going to have another layer over the top of this.
Yeah.
Well, that's true.
Of the paper clay. So I want to make sure that this is fairly small. Plus, the more I can take down, the less I'm going to have to add in to fill some of these holes up.
I think that's something a lot of people forget about when they're doing a project like what you're doing, SK, is when they...
Did we lose? We just lost Jay.
Oh, we lost.
Amy's on. Amy, can you hear us?
Amy can probably hear and see us. There he is.
I came back, yeah. I dropped out for some reason.
He's not able to speak, I don't think, yet.
No, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear Jay and I can hear Amy.
Okay, hey, I was trying to turn my Wi-Fi off because my internet's in and out, but it won't let me switch over to
I've got to turn my computer up because I can't hear.
I can't see Amy, though.
Amy doesn't have her camera on.
Oh.
Yeah, I've got the video turned off. We don't need to see my big old ugly mug in there.
No, but she's got this big green witch picture.
Yeah.
Is that what that is?
Yeah. So, Amy, SK was just saying he's trying to bring this down a little bit more because he feels that it's too meaty.
Too meaty?
Yeah, the stuff over it.
Yeah. Hey, Chris, I'm gonna have to try to get out of here and see if I can get this switched over to my data because my Wi-Fi is going in and out.
Okay.
And it's hard to hear you. So let me see if I can get this turned off. I'll be right back.
Okay. So Jay, you ready to go build one of these now?
I got a couple like that I'm going to build, but I'm not going to attack it quite the same way SK is.
So, and I think SK asked you about this, but I was busy and not listening. Now, did I hear you say that you've not done like the paper mache or paper clay with like the great stuff, like what he's done is using the great stuff as the base?
Oh no, I have. I've done it before. Playing with great stuff it irritates me sometimes, I guess. Just dealing with it. I don't like I hate negative sculpting. I used to do it, and I used to do it with my son when we did some different projects, but so I kind of stay away from it. But I'll use it sometimes as a base, and it works great. I mean, the clay will stick to it. Clay will stick to it. Paper mache strip will stick to it great. So I mean, it's a good base to use. I just don't use a lot of it.
I'm back on, Chris. I got it turned off.
Hi, Amy. We can hear you barely, but we can hear you.
Okay. I don't know if there's a way to. Let me see if I can see a way to turn this thing up. No.
There's a question from last week, SK, by Psycho, wanting to know if you are putting hair on the witch.
Yes, I am putting hair on the witch. I have not figured out how yet, though. I may be actually sitting there with latex, because the final layer on this, after I paint everything, I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna give it a thin coat of latex to give it like a skin over the top.
Mm-hmm.
And then I figure what I can do after that is I can cut up a wig and add hair individually.
Yep.
Kind of like I did with the, I don't know if you remember the beard that I had on the imp.
Mm-hmm.
Couple of hairs at a time.
That's going to be tedious.
Yes, it does. It gets very tedious very quickly.
It'll be worth it in the long run, though.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's how. When I made that big wrap for Barry Flanagan a couple of years ago, and then he got messed up, and they sent him back to me last year, and I redid him, and I rehaired him and put a lot more hair on him, and I did individual hairs at a time. It's very tedious, but it's a much better result.
Now, Amy, we asked Jay this already, but we'll ask you too. Do you do the paper mache? Do you also use the paper clay?
I mainly use paper clay, and Jay's one of the ones that got me started on all of that. But the paper mache, I don't have the patience to let it dry for my forms and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I started using the spray foam, because it gives me a faster form to build on.
So, but you choose to do the paper clay now. Are you using Jay's recipe, or do you have a recipe that you prefer?
I use a recipe that I found at ultimatepapermache.com.
Yep.
But Jay gave me a little secret about what glue to use, so I use the glue suggestion by Jay. But the rest of the recipe I follow with theirs. I use the linseed oil, and I know that a lot of people don't use linseed oil, but I think it helps as a drying agent.
I used to use linseed oil as well, but now I don't, and I couldn't figure out what benefit it really did. Maybe I should put some more in, see if it does help the drying time, but I just quit for some reason, and I couldn't figure out the benefit of it.
The benefit of the linseed oil?
Yeah.
I've heard that it helps with the weatherproofing of the paper mache a little bit.
It might.
That might be
I don't know.
pretty
It might, but it's your glue as well. Like I've told Amy, we talked about, if you use a good outdoor wood glue in it, that alone adds a lot of protection.
Yeah.
So, is there any particular brand that you prefer, Jay, or just outdoor wood glue?
I use, and I swear by, using Titebond 2 wood glue. There's a Titebond 3 that they say is absolutely waterproof, and I haven't used it yet. And I'm thinking about here next month buying some to give it a test. But so far, Titebond 2 is what I've been using.
That's what I use too. I saw the Type Bond 3, but that stuff's like $10 more a gallon.
Yes, it is.
So it's
Yes, it
just a
is.
little more pricey.
Mm-hmm.
But if it guarantees weatherproofing and you're doing a prop for outside, it might be worth it.
It might be, and that it's the thing. So it's like she said, it's a little more expensive, and when you're like testing, that's kind of scary because like
Yeah.
a cheaper wood glue, like I've used cheaper wood glues before, just like a standard like Elmer's wood glue or whatever. I don't know what's in that wood glue, but when you make a clay with it, it's horrible. Your clay is like rubbery. It doesn't come out right. It doesn't act right. So I stay away from that. Type Bond 2 has always gave me great results in my clay. My clay acts like it normally does. So I've eyeballed that Type Bond 3, but there's got to be something else in it to make it completely waterproof. I'm just not sure how it'll react with the clay, if it'll change it.
Right, and I think it would be waterproof if you were using it on something besides the paper.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with you mixing it in with paper clay, I don't think that would guarantee waterproof. You
No,
still have to take the
I would.
extra steps at the end.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. But that's something I could test. I could go buy some, just to try it and do a test on it and throw it out on YouTube and see how it handles.
Dave from Boston Haunted Manor would like to know, how much do you think your Swamp Witch weighs at this point?
Not much. Maybe 20 pounds.
If that?
Yeah, it's not heavy at all right now.
And you all noticed how he picked it up, right? Just want to point that out.
What?
That's because SK's the Hulk.
I'll tell you what.
Flexing those muscles.
It may seem awkward, but that's how I pick up all of them. When I carry up the grave digger, right in the crotch. It's the best spot to pick them up from. Besides, you're not going to damage anything there.
No.
Unless it's my imp, which is anatomically correct. But that's a discussion for a whole other day.
Jay, do you ever get that latex paint paper clay recipe going?
No, man, I consider that a failure. I finished the project I was doing, and I've got to send that off to Tater. That was a pumpkin I was making for him, but it was a pain to work with. I was not happy with it. It was too hard to work with, so I tossed that to the side. It rubberized the clay bad, and it's hard to. Once I did it, you couldn't. If you put a patch of clay on and then you try to bring another patch into that and smooth it over, it was almost impossible to bring the two ridges together and make one smooth joint with it. It was a pain.
I thought that's what you were trying when you were doing that little charcoal pumpkin.
Yep. He's all different now. It's done, painted, and it looks good, but I'll never go that route again.
I was hoping that was going to work kind of like a Monster Mud type of clay.
So was I.
What's a Moxie Mud type of clay?
She was saying like a Monster Mud, like Monster
Oh, Monster
Mud.
Mud. Okay.
Yeah, and I was trying to kind of go with that idea and see what I could come up with, but it made the clay too difficult to work with.
It looked good, though. It looked really good when you were working with it.
Yeah. But just those small spots that I did, like I was taking pictures of, I mean, it took 2 or 3 hours just to spread those small areas to kind of get them to join and fight with it and mess with it, and I just gave up. It's nothing that I would put out there and say, hey, this is what you guys should use, because it's way too hard to work with.
Mm.
Yeah, I noticed you never did come back with anything about it, so.
No, I finished up what I had with it and just kind of ran.
Yeah. Since you never came back with anything, I didn't even try it. So,
Yeah, I had a I had a few people ask me about it, and I was just like, that, nah, you don't want to go that way. And I think it was all just due to the latex that was in it.
SK, don't you have like a turkey knife or something that you could plug in and just
I
carve
love
away?
this thing. This is my tool of choice.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm with Amy. I'd have the electric knife out there.
Heck yeah.
Yep.
Zip that foam away with the electric knife.
I feel like I have more control with this.
You look
Now,
more
Jane,
dangerous with a
Amy,
kitchen knife.
yeah, Jane, Amy, when you guys make your paper clay, do you have, like a mixer or something that you use that's specifically just for that? It
I
doesn't get
do.
used in the kitchen or anything else again.
No, I don't, because whatever mixer you use, you make a mess of it.
And I use I have a kitchen mixer that's just for blending my toilet paper to tear it up. But as far as like mixing the whole batch of everything together, I do all that by hand.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh. Really?
Yeah, yes, I do.
Man.
Because I just can't. I get the mixers get all gummed up, and I don't feel like I get as good of a mix
That's
unless I do it by hand.
One thing I would say for sure is if you're going to mix clay with a kitchen mixer, then you want to buy a mixer that, you want to buy at least a $30 or $40 mixer because it's hard on it. If you buy those cheap $9 ones, it'll wipe them out. But I always mix mine. I mix mine all the way to the end with the kitchen mixer until the very end. In the very end, I'll knead it a little bit, and then that's it. But I don't have the patience to mix it with my hands.
So
Yeah,
with
I
each batch
tried.
that you make, about how big of a container? I mean, are you using like a gallon bucket or, 5-gallon bucket to mix it in? What are you using to mix it in?
Oh, you can
I
answer
use
that
a
one, Amy.
drywall compound bucket.
I'm
You
sorry,
mix,
what?
My empty drywall compound buckets, I mix a
Okay.
batch in that, and I fill the whole bucket up. So I use like 9 to 10 rolls of toilet paper in a batch.
it was big batches.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I'm asking is because like I have a mixer piece that goes on the drill to help mix your paint when it's been sitting for too long. So my thought is would something like that work when you're making a
That's
larger quantity of paper clay?
that's what I was trying to use, and it was bogging my drill down, and I didn't like the way it was going with that big mixer.
Yeah, I've played with that before too. Wasn't too happy with it, but I don't make huge batches like that though. I mean, I make smaller batches. I make batches that are about a extra large bowl size. I mean, I don't know, a gallon or so, gallon and a half, and that's all I mix at one time, and I work with it and then move on. If I need more, then I make more. Even when I did my wolf, I did it like that too.
Wow. See, I go through it so fast. Like on my beast, I used almost 7 buckets of paper clay on him.
That's a lot of clay.
Yeah, he was really lightweight until I started adding that paper clay, and then he just got heavy fast.
Yeah, it adds a lot of weight. I can't remember how many. I mean, I used quite a few batches on that wolf because I wound up skinning it all first, just in the clay with about a quarter of an inch of clay, and then I come back through and went back on top of that again to do all the hair and everything else. But I didn't even keep track of how many batches I made.
What's the shelf life when you make paper clay? I mean, is it something that when you make it that you have to use right away, or is there some way that you can store it and use it within a week, 10 days, a month?
Depends on the recipe.
It does. It really depends on the recipe. Like what SK's got up there, he's had it for a year, which is wild.
Yeah, this is
Wow.
like, I'll give you a closer view. This is like 2 years old.
Wow.
Wow, no mold or anything.
Nope. But all it is a 50-50 mix of water and Elmer's glue and toilet paper.
Wow.
And then you have that lid on it. I usually, my batches, the recipe I make, if I put it in a Ziploc bag and I'll store it at room temperature, I don't put it in the fridge or anything else like a lot of people do. And I can leave some of that alone and not touch it, and it'll go a good 2.5 months before it wants to turn on me. But
That's what I get out of mine too.
Yeah, but most of my batches don't last that long. I mean, when I make them, I've got projects going on, and I usually use it all up, and then I'm making a new batch. So, but I've had it last almost 3 months without any issues.
And I imagine curing time, the drying time on that would be depending on what you're making. Like if it's a small item, it might dry fairly fast versus a larger piece.
Yeah, well, really, it all depends on how thick it is. Like what SK's working on there, if he covered that whole thing in one night and it was just a 1/4 of an inch of clay across the whole thing, it would probably dry up completely in a night under a fan, 24 hours. But if you lay it on thick and you're building your clay up thicker, then it just takes that much more time for it to dry. I mean, I've had some of my pumpkins I made recently where I've gotten real crazy with them and built it up real thick, where it's taken 2 days for the outside to get good and hard, and then I've pulled everything out from the inside and hollowed it out, and it still took another day or two for it to completely cure all the way through because I've laid it on so thick.
Yeah, that little Grinch that I made at Christmas time, well, he's not too little, he's almost 4 foot tall, but I had space heater on him 14 to 16 hours a day and a fan, and it took about a week and a half for him to cure completely.
Yeah.
And I would say that would depend too on your location, because your humid areas are going to take longer to dry, where like I'm in a very dry climate, so it may not take as long.
Right.
Yeah.
That plays in.
Yeah, definitely your heat and your air are what make it happen.
Exactly. Heat and airflow is a big secret to drying that stuff out.
I think
Liz M says, "Nice legs,
Yeah.
SK."
Thank you.
Oh, here we go. Denise wants to know about the knife again. Yep, it's the DeWalt knife. They're great knives. You want to show it again, SK, real quick?
Yes, and Denise actually sent me a message on Facebook asking about these. Oh, I keep forgetting my camera's over here.
Mm-hmm.
There's the knife. And I got these from Lowe's. However, Lowe's apparently does not sell them anymore. And they've got 3 different sizes, by the way. That's I think the 18 and the 25, and then they have a 9, 8 or 9. But I found them on Amazon, and I'm going to include the link to the Amazon for all 3 knives on the description of this after it's posted up on Facebook, or up on YouTube. So we'll get.
I want to say I bought mine last year at Home Depot.
I bought mine last year as well. I bought mine last summer at Lowe's, and I went on their website. They don't have it anymore. I didn't look in the store, but I figure if it's not on the website, it's probably not in the store, right?
Yeah, Home Depot does sell them too.
Do they?
Yeah, but again, we're hunters, so definitely shop and see where you can get your best price. And sometimes, most of the time, I find things cheaper on Amazon or eBay.
These were pretty cheap on Amazon, so.
So Amy and Jay, for those that don't know, we have Ami Crissinger in here and Jay Olson. What are some tips, like some things that if somebody was new into doing the paper mache or paper clay, we'll just, I guess, maybe discuss more of the paper clay. What are some tips that you would each give them for somebody just starting?
You first, Amy.
Wow. Don't be afraid to try it. Don't just dive right in, and you can do so many things with that stuff. I mean, I'm doing things that I never in a million years thought that I would do, and that it just and use whatever you can find around the house to carve it, to um, sculpt it. Like I've used, like I'll take a marker and lay it on, use it to roll it, or pencils to make indentations, just like the flat side of a pencil, toothpicks, knives. I mean, you can do just about anything with that stuff.
Yep, I agree. Patience is one thing, a lot
Yeah.
of patience. But I know in the recipe that I use when you're talking about clay, um, like Amy said, you can use almost anything to create your texture or to sculpt with or anything on that nature. But when it comes to the clay, when I'm doing my sculpting, the things I've really noticed that stands out, the tools that I use now mainly consist of any kind of a metal tool, whether it's a knife, a spoon, or a sculpting tool, because metal and water in the clay seems to work a lot better than if you go to Michael's or Hobby Lobby and they've got the cheap plastic tools you can get. The clay wants to grip those plastic tools a lot worse than a metal tool. A metal tool you can really pull across it nice, easy, thin, and it doesn't really grip the clay. So if there was any tip that I would give anybody, I would say the tools you work with, if you're like trying to smooth or you're pulling in, if you're not just like basically stabbing or making an indentation, if you're pushing in and dragging a line out, I would always use something metal. If you're just gonna make indentions or press in and make a texture, you can use anything. But if you're trying to smooth or you're trying to cut nice lines, make sure it's metal, because the metal with water, it makes a much smoother line. It doesn't grab your tool you're working with. I have better results with that. My favorite tool, honestly, that I use all the time to smooth, because everybody asks me that all the time, how do you get things so smooth, is I use a metal spoon, and I use the handled part of the spoon. Just a standard cheap spoon that's smooth on the handle side, and I use that one thing more than anything when I do all my sculpting with clay.
Now, see, I have a little smooth edged knife that I use on everything. I use that to smooth with, to carve with. I do everything with that little knife, but I agree with Jay. The metal does work a lot better as far as not getting hung up in your clay and dragging clay places you don't want it. And keep a cup of keep a cup of water right there so you can dip. Don't be afraid of the water while you're working with it.
Absolutely. Hey, SK, are you going to make her anatomically correct?
Well, she's gonna have boobs.
So does that qualify as being half correct?
That's right. She's anatomically half correct. Or 2/3, we'll say.
There you go.
Ashley says hi, and she says you still don't look like you're feeling good. And Denise says, are the knives the breakaway blades?
Yes. Yes, they are. Which, by the way, I never break away.
Can you get refills for those?
Yes, you can. As a matter of fact, Stanley makes the breakaway blades that fit these knives.
Nice.
Yep, that's the same one. And these are the 25s. These are the big ones, which work really great for taking away a lot of stuff.
I don't know. I'm thinking I agree with Amy. I would go at that thing with a
turkey knife cutter.
Oh yeah, you'd be done by now.
Yeah, I don't know. I've always been a blade carver. I mean, even with my tombstones,
Right.
I gotta use the blade.
I understand where you're coming from because you want that control when you're trying to, get the shapes you want. But I think where Amy's coming from, probably the same way where I'm coming from, because for us, most everything we do, we're gonna go ahead and layer out with clay, and that's where we're gonna get our detail and our shape. So everything underneath is just a rough. It's a rough shape, something to get us there to build off of. So for me, like Amy when she did hers, you can take that turkey knife and just get into it and get yourself close to the shape that you want because it's all going to be covered up anyway. And you're going to come back over and sculpt that clay.
I think my biggest concern on that is because I'm trying to make it more of a human form.
Right.
I really want to make sure that the shapes are right. When you're making a, like Amy's wolf there, as long as you get the general shapes, you're going to be all right with it. But when you have a humanoid figure, I think it's going to stand out more if it doesn't look right. If the legs are wonky, they're going to look wonky.
Right.
I think that's my concern with that.
Now, I don't know if you saw my golem or not, SK, but I did my golem, and I used a kitchen knife on him, or the electric knife on him, and then used the paper clay to detail his.
Did you?
To get the true form. I mean, that's where, and I think that's the difference between us, the two of us, because, for me, and I'm sure Amy's close to the same way, our main medium towards the end is the clay itself, and that's where we use the clay to really shape and get what we're looking for,
Right.
Yeah.
So everything else underneath is just something that we're going to cover up. So you always make it a little bit smaller. You get it close, but then you're going to take your clay and shape your clay to get your actual form, your actual slender calf muscle, your actual quads and things like that.
Yeah. I guess what I'm trying to do is to stay away from packing in too much clay.
Mm-hmm.
I want to keep my layers. I want to keep this shape, the overall, just the shape, as close to correct as possible. Just because I don't want
a thin skin of clay over the top of that. Right.
Right. I want to stick. Right. I want to be within a quarter of an inch.
Right.
So.
I wonder, what do you think, Jay, about that thin layer of clay? I mean, I don't know that the thin layers. I think I've had more issue with thinner layers, like cracking things.
I think he'd be okay. I mean, you've got that full, he's got the full body there, and he's got the foam underneath of it, and that foam's really going to give great support underneath. So, like he's saying, if he carves that thing down to the shape he wants, and then I think he'd get away. I honestly think he'd get away with a thin quarter-inch layer of clay because all the real structure or the support is going to come out of that great stuff foam. It's just like using a wig head, those foam wig heads, and I've used those in the past to do witches and different things. And a lot of besides where I built up cheeks and nose stuff and brow ridges, everything else around the top of the head and around the neck, most of that stuff was only about a quarter of an inch thick. And man, some of those witches I made are going on 5 years now, and I haven't had any issues with them because that foam gave all the structure underneath.
I guess I didn't think about that because I've used the heads too, and that's been okay on my heads.
I think it's just that if you're using this straight strip mache underneath as your base, and that stuff can get it flexes, and it's a little weaker. And if you use just a quarter of an inch or so, you can get that flex, and you can cause it to break, and you build it up thicker with the clay to get your strength. But with having that foam underneath, you don't have that give, so it's much more rigid.
Yeah.
Oh,
I can't wait to see her finish. She is going to be amazing.
I hope so.
She is.
Lydia Rossi says she just got here. Hello. And Meg looks like she hasn't shaved those legs in a long time.
I've been shaving the legs all day.
Hey, are you worried about her balance, SK?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit. But right now, I mean, she still flexes. She still springs back forward, and my floor is all wonky. So,
Right.
but the part that I think is going to be the saving grace is the fact that I still have the arms, which are going to be forward more.
Mm-hmm.
And her head is going to kind of lean a little bit more forward. I think it's going to be. I think that's going to help bring some of the weight back to the front. So, I mean, she does still spring back from even quite a ways. There's the tipping point right there.
Right.
So once I add more weight, we'll have to see what happens once I get the paper clay on there, because that's going to make a difference too. But I've already considered possibly adding a wider base underneath this and padding up the base, just because I may need to.
Yeah, I get I get those issues a lot too, because I'll get ambitious and I'll make a form and I want some crazy pose to it, and I just get rolling with it, and then all of a sudden when I'm getting closer to the end or the top, I realize it's so far off balance that I got to do other things to get her to stand up.
Well, one of the things I was thinking is if I do add a thicker base, it's going to give me the ability. I was at we hit Spirit after Halloween this year, and I was able to buy the entire store's worth of those cattails and the long grassy hair grass there that they had in their displays for $1.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
So
nice.
I could actually put all that around her legs and around that area. I've got enough to fill the whole base here.
Yeah.
So that would really help set off the look of the swamp, and that'll give me a better base to mount that stuff into. Then I'll be happy with that.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, that's going to be amazing.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. Oh, I'm a little slow today.
Ashley says, if you cut off too much or make a dip, how are you going to rectify it?
I'm going to fill it in. If I carve something out that I don't like, I'm just going to put more foam on top of it and recarve it.
Paper clay. Paper clay.
That depends. It depends on how big. It depends on how far
I'm with
up.
Jay. Paper clay.
If it's small, if it's a small area, then I'm not going to worry about it. I can pad that up. But if I take too much out of one spot and all of a sudden I realize that she's got a really unnatural divot in her ass,
Right.
then I'll probably just foam that out and recarve it. And once I get most of this carving done, this is the hard part here. I kind of feel like after that, the paper clay part's going to be the easy part. But I could be wrong.
No, it should be. If you get if you're going along the lines of what you're thinking, and you get that carved down to the shape you want, and you're really happy with the shape, then truly, with your idea, the paper clay should be nothing but spreading on a thin layer and just rolling with the shape that you have.
Yeah. Move my camera over just a little bit here. I feel weird kind of sitting over here and talking to you guys, and my camera's like way over here.
Deborah Snooks asks, can you add additional paper clay to harden paper clay?
Yep.
Yeah. And that's a question I have for Amy. I was watching some videos from Ultimate Paper Mache there, And she says that you've got to spray it first. You've got to wet the dried clay a little bit.
Nope.
No?
I just put it right on top.
Oh.
It sticks just fine.
Yeah.
Good.
Right to it. Right on top. Don't worry about it. It'll stick.
Yep.
Hey, I'll be right back. I have to go tend to something.
Okay. I'm kind of stuck on where her ass should be.
It's really saggy.
That's about right.
Are you going to use a styrofoam head for her, SK?
I am. I'm going to start with I've got a male wig head that I'm going to start with, and I'm going to cut the jaw out so that I can open the mouth a little bit. And then I'm going to start. I don't even think I'm going to add any foam to that whatsoever. I think I'm just going to hit that with the paper clay.
Yeah.
Because it just
That
seems
works.
like that would be easier. I am going to mess around with the eyeballs, and I think what I decided I want to do is I'm going to use these blanks and paint my own.
Did you find some irises to use?
I made irises before. I actually have a sheet of irises that you can download and print right on my website. Kind of like the ones that Hector had.
Okay.
I don't think that I have any of the colors. I don't think any of those colors are appropriate, but I think I have the original file. And what I did with that is I actually took different layers and made different layers of the sections of the iris and different colors, so that I can sit there and take different foreground colors and different background colors and mix them together to make whatever color irises I want.
Oh yeah, that'll work.
Yeah, it's that was a text message. But I've seen people paint irises before, hand painted irises before, and I think I want to try my hand at it.
Yeah.
I think that's
Pretty
probably
cool.
the best way to get her irises the way I want them, because they're you have the very dark pupil, and then the iris is kind of just yellow.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We'll see. It's all kind of up in the air right now.
SK,
Yes.
Denise Strong says, couldn't you use a fine craft sander to get rid of the big bumps on the foam and then use the blade after?
Sander?
Yeah, like an electric sander type thing.
I will tell you from experience, I do not like sanding foam.
Yeah, I don't either.
It is
yucky.
very bad for your respiratory system.
Yeah.
All right,
Well, and it doesn't seem to do as well either, like when you're sanding the foam.
what the frig? All right, well, I gotta deal with this because. Don wants to know where people are commenting at. The comments are all being done through YouTube, right? Chris?
I think she might be taking like messages on Facebook too.
Okay, I think. See, last time I think I had Christy was doing. Christy was doing Facebook and Chris was doing YouTube, or the other way around. And I'm just going to turn my phone down because work people are sending me messages. because this week is National Telecommunicators Week.
SK, we're doing the, I try to get everybody to do comments on YouTube.
Okay.
I am watching Facebook for where I've posted links.
Okay. Yeah, John Powell just messaged me and asked where we were watching the comments from. So I told him YouTube.
Denise says, please don't interrupt his show, but I just wanted him to know his cross fog chiller is the bomb. I'm going to attempt to make one this year, but I know I will be disappointed if it's not as good as his.
Oh, the Celtic Cross? Is that what you're talking about? The Celtic Cross chiller?
Ashley said that sometimes she's noticed that foam on foam doesn't stay well together.
I haven't had that problem yet.
I haven't had that problem either.
This is a gross butt crack.
It is.
Denise says, and her last question of the night, maybe, who is going to be stuck cleaning up that mess? Cody?
No, this will be me. So I'll be me cleaning it up. I'm the only one that cleans this basement. If I want
Yeah,
them
what
to-
happened to her butt there? It was looking good up until a minute ago.
Well, I think I still got a lot to take away, so I think there's spots where I should have more foam, and there's spots where I don't have foam. So.
Amy and Jay would say to fill that in with paper clay, correct, Amy?
You got it.
Yeah.
Give her a nice butt out of clay.
I don't know. I'm still kind of struggling with the shape here.
But
Denise
then again,
says-
if you go doing that, that's going to put a lot of weight on the back there that you don't want.
That's true. Denise says, heck yeah, the Celtic Cross. Awesome. Do you want to sell it?
You mean that? There she is. She sits in my basement.
She wants to know if you're willing to sell it.
Nope. I'll never sell it. I don't even use it for a chiller anymore. I found that just using the little kitty litter bucket chiller last year seemed to work better. Unfortunately.
Ashley'd like to know if you would consider making the base look like a display, maybe like building foam rocks or something that looks swampy.
Actually, we were just talking about that. I picked up. We went to Spirit after Halloween last year, and I bought all of their. They had their little swamp display. I bought all of the cattails and the tall grass that was with it. We got it, the whole store's worth for $1. So yeah, I'm thinking about putting the grass and the cattails up in here. Whoops. Yeah, I'm cutting myself here.
Whoops is never good when you're when you're playing with a knife.
Yeah, I know. As long as you don't see any red streaks on the foam, I'm all set.
She's got a really good shape so far.
And I think that's the benefit of taking little bits off like this. That I can really see where I need to take stuff away and just take a little bit at a time.
Goth Gloom says, tell SK I finally found where to comment, and is he giving me a crash course on paper mache in June? Something tells me we might be, LOL.
Don, we're doing tombstones in June. I'm going to teach you how to make a tombstone with one of these.
But if anybody does have questions on the paper mache or paper glue, or I'm sorry, paper clay, we do have Ami Crissinger and Jay Olson in, so be sure to ask questions about that too. Jay has stepped away for a moment, but we'll be back.
Yeah, I fear that I may still be working on this in June. I don't think I'm going to have it finished. I hope to have it finished, but I've got more projects than I care to admit right now. I spent all of this morning working on soap cutters for Christy.
How did those turn out?
Well, the one, I'll actually show you. All I have to do is glue the pad on and put the strings on, but that's a loaf cutter.
Nice.
Wow.
So came out pretty good. And then the other one I think is upstairs. And I didn't leave that one down here, but that one's really almost done.
Amy, do you have a project that you're working on now?
No, I have a project I want to get started.
What was that, Chris?
Got a lot of other things going on.
I was asking Amy if she has any plans for a project coming up soon.
I do have plans. Just haven't started.
This is the other one. And once this is all set, there'll be a wire that goes right across this thing so she can cut the soap.
Oh, that's nice.
See what I mean? I have too many projects.
I think gremlins are next on my agenda, Chris.
Gremlins sound fun.
Yeah.
Now, Amy, are you going to do that witch too?
What witch?
You showed me a picture of a witch.
Oh, I don't know. I've thought about her for a couple years. That's how I ended up with Gollum, because I was going to do her, but then I ended up doing Gollum instead. But I don't know. You know how projects go.
And you have the whole little Walking Dead series there, right?
Yeah.
And did you make it onto the show with those for the fan art?
Nope.
No.
No.
I was hoping you would.
Yeah, me too. That guy who does Orcut's pencil drawings, he did a really nice mural too, and he submitted his and didn't get on either.
Huh. I'm sure they probably get a lot of submissions though.
Yeah.
But they were really good.
Thanks.
You're welcome. And I'm just kind of all over the place when I do stuff like this. I can't focus on one spot for too long.
That's what I do too. It drives my husband insane. He's like, why are you over here and over there and over here?
Yeah, I kind of feel like the more I work on, if I work on one spot and I need to get proportion with another spot, it helps to work on a different section and get something else closer to the actual shape, so I can see where it's gonna, how it's gonna fit in with the rest of it.
Yeah.
SK, Denise Strong says, wait, she's a little confused. She saw the video where the ice lasted so much longer and the cross was way impressed. Why do you now prefer the kitty litter bucket one?
This year, we did something new with our fog, and it was phenomenal. It was hands down better than any year in the past. And what I did was I took a piece of PVC pipe and I ran it right along, right in front of my fence, or right behind my fence, right inside the cemetery. I drilled holes all the way down it on one side, and then I covered that with leaves, and then had it hooked up to the kitty litter chiller. And when the fog came out, it came out and it pushed the fog up under the leaves, and it just kind of rose up from under the leaves and just drifted across there. It was perfect. Hands down, best looking fog I've ever had come out of our setup. So that's what I'm doing from now on.
Do you wet down the ground first, SK?
What's that?
Do you wet down your ground first?
No. Nope. But we live in New York, so half the time Halloween it's wet anyways.
Oh.
Is there a specific type of fog you like to use, SK?
Yeah, the free fog that I won last year at Midwest. No, we try. I won 2 gallons of Froggy's Bog Fog last year, and that was what we used last year. And I think that was probably part of it too. I do like Froggy's Fogs.
Was that bog fog, SK?
What's that?
Was that bog fog?
Bog Fog?
Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay. Because I used their freezing foam, and I didn't get very low-lying fog.
Yeah, I think and my nephew did our video this year, so it's not on my YouTube, it's actually on his, but I think I posted it on the website, on my website, so thehuntinggrounds.com. If you want to see how the fog looked, check out our 2015 video.
Okay.
And that was the bog fog. I like it. I've used the freezing fog before too, and I wasn't as impressed as I was with this bog fog.
I'll have to try that this year.
Now, Amy, are you going to Midwest?
I am, and that's what I was just getting ready to ask, if you and Christy had decided whether you were going to do the Friday tour or not.
I am going to do the Friday. I'm going to do the Friday tour to the Scaratorium, but I'm not going to the beach party.
That's what I was going to do too. I'm not interested in the beach party, but
I think that whoever came up with that idea needs to have their head examined.
right.
What hunter, besides Tater, what hunter wants to go to a beach party?
Well, they are looking for scary, so.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
If you've been to a beach, that's pretty scary.
Yeah, I've got no interest in that. But yeah, this is going to be my son's first year at Midwest, so he's. I want to make sure that he gets to do anything that he wants to do as part of it. And since we don't have any other big haunts in our area, this is going to be his first chance to see something, you know, at least partially substantial. I don't think the Scaratorium is all that great, but it's better than anything he's been to around here.
Yeah, I was surprised they are not doing the Hoochie again this year.
Well, they go back and forth.
Oh,
They
okay.
did the Scaratorium 2 years ago, and then they did the Haunted Hoochie the year before that. So they've been going back and forth. What upsets me is that they don't have anything substantial to do along with it. The Haunted Hoochie was, that was a great haunt, and I thought that was worth it to go there. But the Scaratorium alone is, I just don't feel it's worth the $55 price tag. And 2 years ago, we got to go to the Scare Factory as part of the tour. The year before that, they got to go to Unit 70 Studios. So why they're not doing something like that again this year? That, you know, kind of rubs me the wrong way. I want to see something. I want to see something cool. I want to see other props. You know.
Yeah.
Carly says that you can make your own party at Midwest.
We are. We're going to make our own party. Actually, I'm going to see if I can get a private tour to Unit 70. I don't know if that's going to work, but can't hurt to try, right?
Jay, are you going to Midwest?
No, not this year. With everything that happened this past year and doing some financial struggles and stuff, I'm spending this year building finances back up. So I missed Trans World this year, which is the first time in 4 years, and I was going to do MHC this year, but it's just not going to be in the cards.
Well, you're doing a lot of remodeling there too, right?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't planned.
Right.
But trying to get it all done. I've almost got it all wound down so I can get back in the hot seat and building some stuff and getting back active with the Halloween group and on my Facebook group and getting back active on YouTube and get back active on website. And so I got a lot on my plate and I just got to get things ironed out.
Hey, when you can get back to doing the paper mache, do you have a project already in mind that you're thinking about doing?
I've got a couple in mind. I started one before the flood hit, and it's nothing big. It's actually a small tabletop deal, but it's going to be like an evil Jack-in-the-Box type of thing. And I want to get it done. I didn't film anything on it just because I was playing around with it, but I want to get it done and present it. But I've got an idea for a kind of a 3 foot tall, 3.5 foot tall, like evil elf that I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I've already got the armature as far as PVC all set out and ready to go. So I think that will be probably one of the first tutorials I do for the site, and then I'll do some YouTube clips on it and some different things. And I'm going to do a couple groundbreakers and some. I've got quite a few things that I want to do, but I think the first thing I'm really going to tackle as far as like tutorial film project, whatever, is going to be this evil elf.
That sounds cool.
It should be. I've been wanting to do it for a long time and haven't, so I think I'm going to attack it. I'm really kind of jazzed for it. But I got a lot of things going on.
I found.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. I find that ever since I've been involved in this haunt piece, and before I can even get it off the ground, I've got 50 more, and then I get lost and don't know where to start.
Mm-hmm. Happens all the time.
It's a disease, I swear.
Yep. It is. Easy with that knife, SK.
I know you make me nervous with that thing.
Why? You think I'm going to cut myself?
Well, you keep
no.
pulling it towards you, and
SK Rodney Morris would like to know if you've ever tried using a styrofoam rasp. Wondering how that would work on great stuff.
I don't know, and I kind of feel like that's along the same lines as a sandpaper. And I don't know if anybody knows. I have respiratory problems. I have allergy-induced asthma, and right now I have bronchitis. So I kind of want to avoid any kind of messing with this right now. But yeah, I any kind of foam dust I try and stay away from. I really don't like sanding or rasping any kind of foam because that stuff just gets everywhere and you're sucking it in. And
well, and for those who are doing it, they really should be wearing a respiratory piece.
Some kind of mask, yes.
Yep, some kind of a mask.
Like that.
Yeah, I have something similar to that. Mine has.
Or that. See, I have my safety equipment.
You just failed to use it, right? They're all still brand new in the box.
I know. Did I see a price tag on those too?
I actually bought those for this project because I figure when I get closer to the end, I probably will do a little bit of sanding just to kind of get rid of some of these these sharp edges, just to kind of round everything down and get the shape that I want. Plus, I'll probably do a little bit of sanding with the paper clay as well. I don't know, but I wanted to have that stuff on hand just in case. I actually finally went out and bought safety glasses and started using them too. I've never worn safety glasses in my life.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I used to wear safety glasses when I worked at motorcycle shop, and I hated them because they always like impaired my vision. And when we were doing custom projects for guys, I swear for me, when I'm really trying to see the small detail and what's going on, they always affected what I could see, and I hated that.
Yeah, I got these. Picked these up at Lowe's last week. Oh, there
you go.
Yeah,
nice.
I got something like that.
They're nice and clear. Of course, they're covered in sawdust right now.
On her tablet, so she's going to try to get back in.
Sorry, I'm moving so much. I'm out of my PC. How many projects have you used that knife on, SK?
What's that?
How many projects have you used that knife on?
This knife right here, this blade alone, probably 3.
Still seem pretty sharp.
Oh yeah, and you know when I'm not doing like really detailed work, I'm not too worried about the blades getting dull. I don't care if it chews this stuff up. You know, if it cuts and if it pulls and tears and stuff. When I'm doing the tombstones and I'm trying to get the nice fine detail, that's when I'll keep changing the blades out.
Right, right.
Because then you don't want it to grab the foam at all.
Mm-hmm.
And that's next on our agenda. Right, Chris?
Yes, but you know what? I think your camera just went to pixelation here. You're not as vibrant and clear.
Me?
Yeah, your whole workspace space. Jay and Amy, is it more pixelated pictures to you too?
It looks now it's pixelated.
Yeah, when you come up close, it's fine, but when you walked away, it like went really pixelated on us.
Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah. Oh, that's better.
That better?
Yeah. Now everybody had a chance to see SK's belly button.
That's my next prop.
A belly button?
Hey, if you go on my Facebook, you can see my ass.
I already saw it.
That post went
Viral.
popular for a little while there.
Yeah, it was funny.
I kind of feel like her ass is a little high right now. A little bit. Shape's getting a little bit better. Wouldn't you say, Chris? A little bit
Yeah.
better?
Yeah, I think that, well, yeah, it's getting better. I'd bring in about where your hip area is. I'd bring that in more to make a waist area.
Yeah.
But it's taking shape, yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah. She's got a purty crack there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at least it's clean, right?
Are you going to put as much detail into her ass as you did the boobs on the other project you're working on?
The other project isn't even finished.
I know you got to the tits and quit.
I am a stickler for detail. It's one of my biggest, probably my biggest downfalls is the fact that I don't do shoddy work, and
I think
half the time, especially in what we're doing with 90% of what we're seeing in our hunts, people don't see these details. I
Correct.
can't help but put them in.
I'm the same way. I think a lot of us suffer from that same thing.
But I have a theory on that as well, and that is, if you put extra detail into your work, people maybe people are going to see it this time, but next time they're going to have more to notice,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll. I think that keeps the experience fresher. If I can put so much detail into this that simply changing the lighting changes the whole image.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
I just can't seem to do anything half-assed.
Right.
No, and I don't know. Like Jay said, I think a lot of us suffer from that. We're our own worst enemies, and when
Mhm.
something doesn't look right, it bugs the hell out of us.
Yep.
Yes.
Now that was a story with my pillars, and probably everybody watching now knows that I had those cemetery gates set up in my driveway right after we built them, and the wind blew the thing over and shattered it.
Oh my gosh.
And the funny thing to the story was, when I went out and looked, and I went out and I saw it in 1,000 pieces, and I'm looking at the base of the pillar, which broke off, and it happened to be the pillar that the base was a little bit crooked, and it was bugging the hell out of me, because I hadn't weighed the pillar down before I glued it, and the Gorilla Glue shifted it. So I said, wow, look, at least I can straighten out the base now.
Mm-hmm.
And I did, too. You bet your ass that base is straight now.
Does that bring back memories for you, Amy?
Yes.
Carving on all that foam?
And cleaning up all that foam.
I was curious, when you took on that beast, I was like, oh, there's a big project.
Yeah.
I know how
That was
that's going to
amazing,
feel.
though.
It got way bigger than I I don't know, it just kept getting bigger and bigger, and yeah,
They get away from you real quick.
yes they do. Because I did not intend on him being that big.
Yeah, I did the same thing with the wolf. I was just like, then I was happy when it was done. And now the wolf is gone. I put him in the garbage can this year.
Oh, why?
Already?
Yeah, he had a few issues, and it was making me mad. And his arm bent a little bit on me after a couple of years, and because everything I do, I mean, it stays out in the rain for 30 days. And around here in October, we get quite a bit of rain, and it rains a lot. And his structure wasn't quite strong enough for the amount of clay that I put on him. So after the second year I had him out, we had 2 weeks straight. It was rain every day for 2 weeks, and he was out in it. And then his arm bent a little bit, and I didn't quite like it. I mean, he would still stand up, and nobody else would notice, but arm wasn't in the right spot. And then after he kind of dried back out, I went to move the arm, and I broke the shoulder on it, and I was going to fix him, and then we moved a couple times, and I mistreated him in the moves, and I knocked some of his teeth out, and I had some other problems, so I just took him and threw him in the trash can about 2 or 3 months ago. I'm like, I'll just build another one. I'm done.
Wow.
I was just too aggravated.
Now his whole frame was, you did that whole thing paper mache and then paper clay over the paper mache, right?
Yep. He was all paper mache except for I started out using electrical conduit, which is basically 1/2-inch PVC, the build off of, but everything else he was all paper mache and then clay on top. So
Now, I noticed on Amy's wolf, you actually used some bottles to help clear or fill some spots in, correct?
Yep. I'll use any kind of bottles. Like the laundry detergent jugs, bubble bath jugs.
Yeah, I mean, I did the same thing on that wolf too. Like his quads on his lower legs, I took 2-liter bottles and cut them in half, and then put them on to get that general shape, and then filled them up, and then filled them with paper, and then put paper mache over the top of it. But with that one, without any kind of foam underneath, it was too weak.
So that is something, though, that you would rebuild?
Yeah, and I'm going to rebuild. I'm probably going to do a couple of them, but that one was kind of crouched down and getting ready to lurch out. And I think the next ones I build are going to be standing up on their hind legs. And
Now, Amy, the one that you did, how big did that end up being, and what do you think it weighed?
He is 6 foot long. From his nose to the tip of his tail is 6 foot. He's 3.4 foot tall, and he's 2 foot wide. And I know he's well over 100 pounds. I was thinking that he probably was not more than 150, but I hadn't lifted him myself yet. And my husband and I took him out in the yard so I could get some pictures for the Fright Radio magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And when I picked him up, I was like, oh my gosh, he has to weigh way more than 150 pounds. But like I said, he's got almost 7 of those drywall compound buckets of paper clay on him. So that's a lot of weight.
That's a whole lot of weight.
Yeah,
Now, is he a display for outside?
Yes. I still have to put a final seal on him, like a spar urethane or something.
Oh, okay.
But he has I put a deck sealer over the paper clay, and then I've used coats and coats of the outdoor paint over top of that, and then I'll put on that final seal.
No touching.
Because like Jay, I put my stuff out in the yard, and it's out there for a month and a half. So.
Well, and I think that's some of the issue wanting to do paper clay is the concern about it getting weathered. Nobody wants to put that kind of work into something to maybe only use it once because it's going to sit outside and get destroyed.
Yeah, I
Yeah, if
haven't.
you go ahead, Amy.
All of mine have been fine.
Yeah, if you seal them right, they'll last forever. I mean, I got an old gatekeeper guy, and I want to add a beard to him this year, and he's 7 years old.
You're going to add a what to him, Jay?
A beard. I'm going to put a
Okay,
beard on him.
I thought you said you were going to give him a beer.
No, I'm going to put a beard on him, but he's 7 years old, and I mean,
Wow.
I've got 2 witches that are going on 5 years now, and I mean, a lot of that stuff will last if you build it right and if you seal it right. So.
Yeah.
What do you guys use for sealer?
Like Amy, go ahead, Amy.
No, go ahead.
Like Amy was saying, I mean, sometimes like what she did first, she used a deck sealer straight to her clay first, and then put a latex exterior paint on top of that, and then her paints, and then she's going to go back over the top of all that with a spar urethane too as well. A lot of times I'll just go straight with a latex base paint first, cover it, and then do all my colors and come back in with a spar urethane. But I built a groundbreaker last year for Barry Flanagan for his haunt. It was going to be outside, and I came across what was this stuff called? Oh man, I'm gonna have to go find it. It was like a quick sealer. I can't remember. It was an as seen on TV thing, right? And I saw it in Lowe's, and it was a spray in an aerosol can. It was like a rubberized coating, and you can get it in black, and you can get it in clear. That exactly. Flexi
Oh,
Seal is
yeah.
what it is. It's like $17 a can almost. But I bought that stuff, and I bought it in black because I usually base all my stuff in black first. And Barry had it, and he hasn't had any problems with it. But when I sprayed it on, I mean, it literally is like a rubberized coating that it puts over the top of it. And when I first did it with that groundbreaker, I was really scared because it was kind of thick. And I was afraid I was going to lose some detail, but as it dried up, it shrank down and it kept the detail too, so I was happy with that. It's a little expensive, but from what I saw and what I saw of it when I sprayed it on, it looked like it was going to hold up really well. Now, I don't know because I haven't used it on any of my props yet. I just used it on his that I sent off, so I haven't been able to test it. But I imagine it's going to hold out water better than anything I've used so far.
Now, I did buy a can of that to put on the bottom of my my beach feet.
Mm-hmm.
I was worried about with his feet being on the ground and in the moisture so much. I wanted to get a better feel on those. So I did buy a can of that to put on the bottom of his feet.
And that's smart because anything mache, and if you got a mached bottom, like I got a tombstone that's mached bottom, anything that's mache and it's going to be in direct contact with the ground, whatever's contact with the ground needs to have an extreme seal on it because it's always contacting moisture, because even overnight, if dew and whatever, that base can soak it up, so it's
Right.
good to have extra there.
That's the only part of mine that I'm the most concerned with was the bottom of his feet, how I was going to seal those up good.
If you use that Flex Seal, man, I'm pretty certain you're not going to have problems with it.
Yeah.
And so some of the questions that we're getting is, Jay and Amy, and we'll start with Amy. If people want to see some of your projects, well, first of all, Amy, do you have a YouTube channel?
I do, because Julie Riedel kept telling me I had to get one, so she patiently worked with me to help me start getting some videos out there. They're not the greatest, but I do have a few things out there. I'm like Jay, I plan on getting some more out there, but...
So do you post most of yours on your Facebook?
I do.
Jay, now you have the unhingedprops.com.
Yes.
And then do you have a Facebook too?
I've got a Facebook, which is just under my standard name. I put a lot of my Halloween stuff on there, and then I've also got a Halloween paper mache group, and it's just called Halloween Paper Mache, and it is a Facebook group. So there's like 1,000 members or so on it. And then I do have an Unhinged Props Facebook page, but I also have a YouTube channel as well. And it's, if you just look up Unhinged Productions on YouTube, you'll find all my videos from even way back when my work was just crap. It's all on there.
You've never seen anybody work as fast as Jay does on them videos. Flash goes at it.
I know, I missed those videos. I started watching them there for a while, and then it's like, there's no Jay.
Well,
So-
I've kind of fell off the face of the earth for about 3 months now, but I'm almost back in the swing of it.
Yeah, your workshop's coming along great.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
come back-
Huh?
Or when you guys get a chance, go into SK's YouTube and maybe post links to some of that for people to find you.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You know what?
That's looking great.
We can throw those in the description of this video as well.
Yeah.
I have Jay's. I think I have Amy's YouTube channel, and I know I have Jay's page and Facebook. So yeah, we'll throw those. We'll try and remember to throw those into the description.
Awesome.
That's looking really good.
Yeah, she's taking good shape.
Yeah, she is.
She's very flat-chested, though.
Yeah, we'll fix that.
Maybe you should give Tater a call.
Don't worry, we'll get that fixed.
The chest is not going to be an issue. I can contest to that.
Well, if you want to make it quick and easy, it looks like, well, no, I think Tater's granny boobs are too big for this one.
Yeah, probably.
What are you going to use for her head, SK? Are you going to
I'm gonna
build off
I'm gonna start with a wig head.
Right on.
We have a whole plethora of them. So I'm gonna put a wig head on, and then I'm gonna take out some of the areas so I can open the mouth.
Right.
And then I think, and I was telling Amy this earlier, I think I'm not gonna mess around with any foam on the wig head. I'm just gonna start with the paper clay.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I really, you think about the character and the guy who played this. It was a guy who played this character. So, starting with a male wig head, which I actually have right here, start with a male wig head. It's gonna be no different than putting a mask on that guy. So.
Right.
Yeah, and it's already got some good cheekbone structure on that.
Yeah. Plus, I don't have
We
to
get
shave.
to. Right. That's always a benefit.
I do have to do a little bit of creative PVC bending, I think, because her head leans a little bit forward. And,
We can't see that far up, SK.
oh, well,
There we go.
her head sits, and she'll be sitting here, her head leans forward and kind of angled a little bit. So I'm going to have to, I think, cut a big chunk of the neck off and then bend a piece of PVC so that I can get this fitted in where it needs to be. Because I really want to have that PVC structure supporting the head too.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I'll break the head off.
Yep. I know one of my witches I did in the past, she was kind of a hunchback, and I kind of had her head angled down, and I've got I started with a foam head like that, except it was a female one, but on my PVC, I just heat gunned it and bent my PVC over and then brought the head down, and I had to do a little carving around the neck to pull it down in tight.
Yep.
But I bent the PVC to get that shape.
Yeah, and that's what I
See,
figured.
I always just take a hot knife and go up inside the head and reroute the hole that's already up in through there. And then I squirt Gorilla Glue in before I put it down on the PVC, so it changes the angle that way. I didn't think about bending the PVC.
I love bending PVC. Bending PVC is fun.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
If you can imagine how much I had to mess around with bending PVC for those gates.
And how do you bend the PVC?
Well, normally all you got to do really is use a heat gun, and you just keep going up and down the PVC and rolling the PVC as you turn the PVC around, because you want to make sure you're heating it evenly. But if you're doing any kind of tight bends, they say that you should fill it with sand. Fill the PVC with sand so that when you bend it, it won't crimp.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Yeah, I've heard that too. I've heard of people heating it up in the oven first and then taking it out and bending it after they've heated it in the oven.
Well, if it's a small piece, but...
Yeah, I would not recommend heating PVC in your oven, because if you forget about it and it catches fire, burning PVC fumes are very, very toxic.
They're bad.
Very, very bad. So if you're going to heat PVC, I would highly recommend that you're doing it outside with a heat gun, just for your own safety. And that's one of the few safety tips you'll ever get from me. Because I'm not a big proponent of safety. I think everybody else should be safe except for me.
SK, you had a contest going on. Is that over?
It is not.
Okay, because I actually had a question as to who won the DVD.
Nobody yet. I'm not drawing until next week. It's still sitting right here. That's right.
All right, guys. Unfortunately, I have to get up at 3 a.m.
Oh.
So I'm going to have to call it a night.
That's all right.
Well,
we're almost done here anyways, and I really appreciate you stopping in.
Yes.
Giving us your input.
Thanks for having me.
And when we get further on down this, maybe we'll have you in again, and when I'm actually working on some paper mache or paper clay on this beast.
Absolutely. I'd love to.
Thank you again, Jay, for coming in. You too, Amy. It's been a lot of fun having you guys here.
Yeah, thanks
Thanks,
for having
guys.
us.
Yeah.
And informative, too. I actually learned something.
Me too. I forgot
All
what
right, guys.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Okay.
All right, Chris, what did I learn from Jay? Jay told me something, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to do that. Do you remember?
I'm thinking.
I'm going to watch my own video again.
I know. That's what I'm thinking. I'm going to have to go back and watch this again.
Yeah, I think I made some good progress today. It's actually starting to look a little bit like, and I'm really hoping that I can get a lot of this done this week. I said that last week. I wanted to get a lot of this carving done before we started this video, so I could actually have some paper play time soon. But that wasn't in the cards. But hopefully this week I'm going to be able to get some more work done on this. Because I think I'm caught up on everything else, I hope. And I feel better. So that's a plus.
Yes.
The bronchitis is, I got one more day of antibiotics and steroids. And it's not,
I really like the shape, and I love the fact that even the stomach area from, you can't see it when you're looking straight on, but when you turn it a little bit, you can see that there's somewhat of a plumper tummy right there. Yep.
Yeah,
yeah, she's got kind of And I'll bring the picture up. Since we didn't bring the picture up today, I'll bring the picture back up here, just so we can look at it. But this is what I was looking at right here. She's got that kind of like little
Pot belly type
pot
thing.
belly sticking out. So I want to make sure that I include that.
Yeah.
And Jay, for the many questions, I'm sorry, SK.
Yeah.
Knife. What knife do you use again?
It's a DeWalt. It's a DeWalt utility knife. And I'm going to post the links to the Amazon so you can buy your own DeWalt utility knives with the break-off blades. I love those things. They're fantastic.
And that's what you're using on your tombstones too?
That, I'll be honest, when I'm carving my tombstones, a lot of what I do with the X-Acto knives, but there is a lot, and I'll bring this over here just so I can show you. There's a lot of spots when you're sitting here carving this stuff where I can't get an X-Acto knife flat enough to get these edges. So I will actually sit there with a straight blade, just like this. Just have the blade out, and I'll be sitting here carving like this because I can get this blade right down as flat as I need to get to shave.
Oh my gosh.
Like I said, I'm not one for safety. I don't recommend that you do that at home. I recommend that you use tools the way you're supposed to use them. Wear your safety goggles. Always wear breathing protection and eye protection and hand protection, and don't be like me. And what time is it? Look at that. We filled up that 2 hours pretty quick, huh?
Yeah.
Yep.
That went really
then-
fast.
And we didn't have a whole lot of viewers today. I think people are getting bored.
I think are coming in after and watching it.
Yeah, I actually had, I think we're up to like 400 and some odd views on the first video. So that's something.
Well, it's joy and Jay in here too, and being able to ask some questions that I know a lot of people ask.
Yeah, and that's why I like having other people who can throw input out there, because I don't know. I mean, I do a lot of stuff with carving foam and you know, I've had a fair amount of experience doing that, but I don't know a lot about working with paper clay. I don't know a lot about this. And there's a lot of stuff, even there's a lot of, you know, things that I think I know. Somebody else has a better idea. You know, and I'm always learning. I think we're all always learning.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to get better if you're not open to other ideas. So that's why I think it's important to have other people. And you know, maybe next week we'll get somebody else in here to contribute. And who knows? I don't know. I can only do 2 more Wednesdays because I only have 2 more Wednesdays off. So we might have to switch it to a Monday or something.
Mm-hmm.
Does Mondays work for you, Chris?
Yes, Monday would work for me.
Okay. All right.
Sorry, I was shaking my head. You couldn't hear my head shake?
You're a little tiny icon, and half the time you're not moving. So. I think we should probably wrap this up for today.
Yes.
We didn't quite hit the 2-hour mark, but I think we did 2 hours worth of work.
And we got over 2 hours worth of education.
That's right. Absolutely. So, Amy, thank you for joining us, even though you weren't we weren't blessed with your pretty smile.
Right. Oh no, it's there. See the green and yellow too?
But we really do appreciate you stopping in and spending this 2 hours with us and giving your input and insight.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
And maybe, like I said with Jay, maybe we'll get you in here again when we have when we're a little bit further on down the road.
Alrighty.
All right.
Yep.
And that's,
Thank you, everybody, and good night.
and we're gonna open this up. We're gonna open this chat up to everybody. So.
I'm gonna head off. It's about my bedtime too.
All right.
Night, y'all.
Good night.
Good night.
And all you people out there in YouTube land, thanks for watching.
Good night.